Okay, for the folks online, no worries. Folks online, can you hear us? Can someone just give me like a thumbs up? Okay. Thank you, Member Chi. Okay, this meeting of the Alamana Kaka'ako Neighborhood Board is now called to order at 6:01 p.m.
Sir.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here this evening. The purpose of the neighborhood board is to encourage civic engagement and make sure that our neighborhood is a great place to live, play, work, and thrive. I'm turning this over to Camelia Gomes for the roll call.
Okay. Chang,
Here.
Chi,
Here.
Marinas is not here yet. Hashimoto,
Here.
Hernandez is not here. Morella,
Here.
Rand,
Here.
Rice, Vanderbrink, Chung,
Here.
and Chair Lee.
Here.
9 members present. You have quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to public safety reports, we have Honolulu Fire Department. We have the Honolulu Fire Department. Okay, we'll wait that out. Let's move on to Honolulu Police Department. Thank you all for being here. This is very exciting for the board. I wanted to let you folks know that, so thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Sergeant Aaron Osachuk. I am currently the Sector Sergeant of the Kaka'ako, Moana area. Along with me today, I also have the District 1 Command. I'll start off with the Second Watch Lieutenant, Lieutenant Winston Leong, the District 1 Captain, Captain Scott Matsumura, and currently I have the District 1 and District 6 Major Paul Okamoto here with me today. I'll start this off by reading the safety and the stats that you guys like to hear, and then I'll touch up on the safety brief, and then we'll open it up for any questions you have to ask of HPD. Motor vehicle thefts, the last reported was 13. This month is 9, so it's a reduction. Burglaries, last reported was 5. This month is 8. Overall thefts, previously 67. We're at 117 this month. Unauthorized entries into motor vehicles, which is basically car break-ins and thefts within the vehicle itself. Previously 5, this month is 9. Assaults, previously 12, this month is 22. Sexual assaults, previously it was 6, this month is 2. Graffiti incidences, previously it was 0, this month is 1. Any drug offenses, 3 was last month, and it's the same as this month, 3 as well. And motor vehicle collisions, 107 previously, and this month is 113. Total calls for services last month was 3,023. This month we had a significant increase of calls for services at 3,533. So that's almost 500 additional calls we had this month. A home safety brief I'd like to give for you guys is your doors to prevent home break-ins. It's latest trend if you watch YouTube and stuff like this, and I just previously did it to my own house. Your door frames, there's a little door latch on there. They're called prime lines or metal plates, the one that the little tongue goes into. Usually those screws, those 2 screws that hold it into the door frame are about 1/4 of an inch. But it's been found helpful that if you take those 1/4 of an inch screws out and you replace them with 1/2 inch or an inch, this makes that door a lot harder to break into. I mean, it's just a regular door itself. It's really hard to kick those doors in. Some of you are shaking yes, so you've probably seen those videos of my, yeah. So if I did it, I suggest you guys do it too. So at this time, I'll go ahead and turn over any questions to Major Paul Okamoto.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. My name is Paul Okamoto. I'm the interim major for District 1. My real job is the major of District 6, which is Waikiki. But since the major is on out-of-state special assignment until July, I'll be filling in for him and handling this district as well. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to take them. I'll be happy to follow up with the results of those questions the next month, and we'll come back and report on what we've done. That's sort of like how I'd like to run things. And we have our leadership here. Lieutenant Henry Lee is the Night Watch Commander. He's just arrived. So if you have any questions or concerns, please present them to us.
I have a question.
Okay, thank you for being here. Member Chang.
With that significant increase in the incidences, is there anything you attribute it to?
I don't know if there's anything that's really changed. Like this, I'm just, this is my first month here. But I don't think it's anything really to be concerned about. It's just that we just had a lot of calls. And that runs a gamut, right? In terms of, calls for service for, something very minor to something big. So I think it depends. I don't think we have an answer.
So I'll get a little more specific. In the area where I'm at, it's District 1. There's been a lot of incidents that I know about that were basically homeless related.
Hmm.
And I'm just wondering if this is something that's prevalent in the area other than my
Sure.
district, because where I'm at, Kaka'ako Street is like homeless highway. They
Where's that?
beeline from Moana Shopping Center all the way up to the Korea Park, the
Oh,
Inha Park,
yeah.
where
Yeah,
they
sure.
kind of like is a base case,
Sure.
base camp for them.
If you notice within the last few weeks, we've been doing some fairly heavy enforcement there. And so, part of that is they will be displaced when we do enforcement. The goal is really to get them shelter and to get them services. And we apply that pressure, right, for them to take those services. That's just what we do. Without that, we know that these people are very highly resistant of services and they won't take them. And so we compassionately and gently conduct enforcement so that they don't monopolize our public spaces, and we encourage them to take shelter, right? That's our strategy. And so you've probably seen a lot of cleanups being conducted. We just conducted a cleanup this past week where we did a project to just go and take back some of the shopping carts. So I think the last project, we took away 28 shopping carts and returned them to the retailers. And so we'll continue to do these projects. So you'll see some significant displacement from these traditional areas where, these homeless people sort of congregate. So I ask for your patience, but this is just part of the process. And the goal really is to drive them to services and shelter.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Vanderbrink and Member Rice.
Testing. Oh, there we go. So I guess my question is also to what Member Chang has been pointing out in that District 1, just north of Moana Center, it does feel like it is getting a bit unsafe. Not necessarily towards the homeless community like he's been having, but for me, it's been like the armed robberies earlier this year that happened in the area, like on Makaloa Street and north on Keamoku Street. And given the numbers, a lot of them you shared were increases. I'm just wondering if you're seeing any particular increase in crime, in particular gun crime or robberies in the Ala Moana area for this past year.
It's hard for me to say because this is not my district, and I'm just temporarily here. But this is not really a topic of discussion that comes up where, wow, there's a lot more robberies and crime. But what I can say is, we're committed to address the small stuff, aka homelessness and all of the other petty crime that sort of comes with that. And when we're aggressive in addressing the small stuff, usually the big stuff decreases also, because of our increased presence, because of if it's the broken window theory. I don't know if you've heard of the broken window theory, right? So if we address the broken windows, then the community is much better off. And so we want to address the small stuff. We want to hear from you guys what those small things are. We want to go out and try and find long-term solutions for those things. I'll report back next month to see if we've accomplished some of that. And then hopefully by doing that, within the next few months, we'll see a decrease in the big stuff as well.
Thank you. I guess just to add on to that, for the small things, Makaloa Street is a big one where there's a lot of homeless people going from the delivery side entrance to Walmart all the way down towards the where it intersects with Kaka'ako almost. There's a lot of homeless people that are there, especially behind the Heald College building. And I walk there every morning when I go to the bus stop, and sometimes I avoid that area just because it can feel a bit unsafe. And especially at nighttime, I don't walk in that area because of how unsafe it is. I know the homeless are actually taking over the vacant lot there that's still vacant.
Yes.
They're just cutting the fence and jumping over it. I know you guys can't do anything about that without the owners trespassing them. But yeah, I just want to stay focused on Makaloa Street especially.
Yeah, I just went by yesterday to take a look at that property. You're talking about that sort of makeshift shelter right against the wall.
Yeah.
in Walmart. Okay. We're actually contemplating doing a project and expanding sort of what we've done in Chinatown, where we had a Chinatown task force, and we had officers specifically deployed to address those concerns every day. We had that in Chinatown. We want to do a sort of a pilot project in the next few months, for the next few months of the entire district. So more details to follow. We just talked about it today, the captain and I. And so we want to implement this sort of program and implement it in this area.
I appreciate that. If I can just add on one more then around Don Quixote as well. I know there is a fire by the bus stop there with a bunch of trash that HFD had to put out, but there's also at any given time maybe 6 or 8 homeless people that sit around the Don Quixote area, and they're pretty regular as well. I recognize one almost every day I walk by there.
Okay.
So thank you.
I just want to also mention that we've been working with CORE. Are you familiar with CORE? And so just last week, we started really collaborating with them to go and identify those in the homeless community that really suffer from severe mental illness. And I don't know if you know Dr. Ireland from CORE, but Dr. Ireland from CORE. But we've been collaborating with them in District 1 and in District 6. And so last week, I believe we went on Tuesday, and we picked up, I think, three people for mental health examination, and we took them to the facility. So we're hoping that this sort of project, we get to do more of it in District 1, and that we see some tangible results, because these are the people that everyone's sort of scared of, right? They're screaming and they can't take care of themselves. And so we're doing something directly to try and affect that and get them into services and shelter.
All right. Thank you.
First Vice Chair Rice.
Thank you. Hello. Is it okay? Thank you. Thank you for being here. One question that's been ongoing, and then I have a couple of others, if that's okay. Sheridan Kapiolani Boulevard, there's yellow stanchions that are not standing. They're laying on the ground. They've been that way for months and months and months and months and months. I do bring it up every month, and I know it's not HPD's responsibility to fix them or anything like that. But who do you go to? I'll make the call. I'm good at this.
Where are they? Are they on the sidewalk?
It's to, if you're driving Diamond Head on Kapiolani and you just pass Pi'ikoi, it's an illegal left turn onto Sheridan Street. And there are yellow stanchions that were installed, I would imagine, to prevent that, but people still do. And they drive over.
They're run over them.
And they're on the ground, and they've been that way for a long time. So I'm happy to help and make some phone calls if that will help.
Let
you
me
guys.
follow up on that.
Okay.
My immediate reaction is I think that's the Department of Transportation Services, but let us follow up on that.
Okay,
My admin lieutenant, call them
thank you.
and see what they can do.
I see people make illegal left turns there all day long,
Yeah.
and it's dangerous. It's really dangerous.
We'll have an answer for you next month.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then your comment about the shopping carts. Are these shopping carts that you're taking away from people who are using them to carry their the
Correct.
homeless folks.
Correct.
So isn't that a challenge to take them away from
It
them?
is. And I use the term take away sort of loosely, but we provide them with trash bags. And if they're clearly identifiable, let's say it says Costco on the side of them, right? They obviously belong to Costco. And so we pick them up, we allow them to um, give the carts back to us. We take them to DFM, Department of Facility Management, and they clean them up and return them to retailers. So
That's awesome.
yeah, I think it's a good way of sort of, because a lot of these people accumulate so many things. I think it's a good way of sort of keeping that down, right? And to actually have a reason to interface with them so that we can push services onto them as well.
So every morning, I live across the street from the tennis courts at Ala Moana Park, Queen Street and Ala Moana, the traffic light. Every morning, as soon as they're able to access the park,
The park opens, right?
the park opens and there's a parade and they all have shopping carts. There's this one guy who had 3 flatbeds from Sam's Club and somehow he ties them up all together. So it's like a train, all connected and going. In Ala Moana Park, I walk the park every single morning and there's so many shopping carts. So if you could, I know it's hard to be everywhere. And one of the things we talk about here is everybody says it's HPD has to do this, HPD has to, HPD has to, and we know, this board knows at least how challenging it is for HPD, how short-staffed you are, and you cannot be everywhere all the time. So we really appreciate your efforts. And one of the things we did a month ago was have a cleanup day with Councilman Scott Nishimoto's office. We only were from the tennis courts all the way to Kaka'ako Street, but it made a huge impact. It's still clean. And I hope we're going to do more of these and at other parks. Sheridan Park is another great example that we're helping out there as well. And so thank you for that. And then, I'm sorry. I'll just let it go here. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
As far as the shopping carts, we'll report back. We have other operations and planned, and we'll focus on that area. Okay.
Member Chung and then Member Chi online.
Hi, officers. I wanted to take this chance for you guys to talk about how important it is for people to call a non-emergency contact instead of calling 911 and to sort of police themselves about that and how important it is to you guys.
Certainly if there's crime afoot and it's happening, please call 911. We have an app. We have a 311 app that's fairly popular that people like to use. And I don't know if this is sort of a local thing. Maybe it's a cultural thing where people don't want to get involved and they just want to report things on the 311 app. But we get those the next business day or the next day after that. But if they're reporting something that's happening and that requires immediate attention, we're just not able to get to it. And it seems like a waste, right? So when we have instances where there's a suspect there and we need immediate intervention by the police, please call 911. And one of the important things that I want to also stress is that please talk to an officer and they'll give you an option. Do you want to talk to an officer? Please meet with the officer so you can directly explain to him what the problem is. Oftentimes we need a statement from that person. We'd like to ask that you fill that statement out and be a good witness, be a best witness as possible for us. But all the other stuff that doesn't need immediate attention, please use the app. It's much easier for us. And it really does, because the officers really are going from case to case to case in patrol during our busiest hours. So that would really, really help us out. Thank you very much for that.
Member Chi online.
Hello, officers. Thank you for being here today. Just had a quick question from a constituent. There's a property on Elm Street. It's 1237, and my neighbor reported to Narco that the unit is most likely an illegal gambling or gaming room. Are there any updates on that you're able to share? I know HPD has been at the area, and I'm not sure if it's an active case and if you're limited on what you can say. But if there is anything you're able to share, I do know that my neighbor as well as some other people in the area are looking for answers.
Sure, I'll definitely follow up with our narcotics waste division. I don't think it's good to announce uh, anything if we're going to do something or if there's something like that exists there. But to the extent possible, I'll follow up with our narcotics waste division, and I'll get back to you next month. And if I can, I'll report back. How's that?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Of course, if it's confidential, then of course we understand.
Another question from First Vice Chair Rice.
Hypothetically, well, Sunday morning between around 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm in Moana Park by the tennis courts. There must have been over 300 mopeds riding towards Waikiki. What should you do in a situation? I mean, it just seemed interesting to me that I didn't hear any police sirens coming up. They were doing wheelies. They were intimidating vehicles that were also going in the same direction. Should I have called 911? What should a resident do
Sure.
when you see something like that? And also, every Saturday night and every Sunday night, every Friday night and every Saturday night between 10 o'clock and 10:30, there's a slew of e-bikes. You can set your watch, and we have our window open, so it interferes with if we're watching TV or something like that. There's at least 100 e-bikes that come again along Moana Boulevard heading towards Waikiki. I don't know if they disperse maybe at Atkinson Drive before they get into Waikiki, whether it's the moped Sunday morning but every Friday night without fail, there's a big group of e-bikes. On Sunday, it was all mopeds in every color of the rainbow.
This is still happening?
Well, Sunday was the first time I ever noticed that, all the mopeds, but every Friday and Saturday night, the e-bikes without fail.
Okay.
So, and there's been so much conversation in the media about e-bikes and how dangerous they are and they're intimidating. I'm in the business, I sell e-bikes, my business.
Really?
But we always sell a helmet and we always talk about the rules and we make sure the parents, if they're buying it for their kid, we won't even sell it to a parent if they're going to give it to their kid and their kid's
Sure.
under 16.
Sure.
That's the way we think.
There's different classes, as you know, right?
Right.
And there's certain types of e-bikes that don't have pedals that can't be registered, right?
Right,
You know that.
right.
But
And the pedal assist and all of that
right,
stuff.
and those are some of the hardest ones to catch because they're so quick and they run from
fast.
us, right? And
Yeah.
Our,
Yeah.
our main concern is the safety of the public, right?
Right,
We chase them. There's a high probability that they run. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't try and stop them, but when we try, our experience has been that they run from us, they crash, they might die, they might injure other people.
They have.
So yeah, so these are our concerns.
Yes.
So we sort of have to take a measured approach to this.
Is there anything happening in the legislature to make laws? I know years ago when e-bikes first started to come out, Department of Transportation Services met with us. They wanted us to help them create laws, but nothing ever came of it as far as we're aware. And that's what we need to better advocate for laws with these things.
I think there might be. I think they want some clarification in law about, you see those one wheels also, and these other devices that, never existed, a few years ago. And now they're ubiquitous, right? You see people riding them all over the place. So I think there's something going through that might address that, but I'm not certain. I'm not sure if.
Well, I'm happy to help and advocate for that. If there's someone within HPD who's
The sergeant's saying that he's aware of a bill.
Oh, no, that's great.
Word on it this week that it is moving through legislature right now, that they're changing the e-bikes, as the major said, as you know, the pedals and that's what we call bakes. But they're going to start treating all those in vertical. They're trying to treat those e-bikes as regular vehicles by requiring when you do purchase them to register them as a registered vehicle,
Right.
changing the ages to from 16 to 18. Also require helmets And also to hold anybody who's under the age of 18, which is going to be up to the age of 16, their parents reliable for anything they get into. I know a lot of schools also, they're saying, are banning the e-bikes, which makes it a really safety issue because the last 3 deaths we had on those were all kids.
Kids.
Right in school.
Yeah. Great. That's really good to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Member Chung and then Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Officers, I'd like to use this chance for you guys to talk about how important it is for the community to participate and report on what they see if they think there's a problem. Talk about how to be anonymous, maybe a little bit on Crime Stoppers, and just tell us how to be good citizens if they're scared. They're scared of retaliation.
Sure. So you can certainly remain anonymous. You can email us. Each district has an email address where you can email certain things. It really does make it hard for us to make prosecutable cases if we don't have a complainant. But that doesn't mean that we'll ignore it. We'll go and check it out, right? But I think for maximum effectiveness, if you want something done, in terms of enforcement, I think it's best that that people report it and not remain anonymous and actually step up as complainants. That's just how our criminal justice system works. I understand the reticence, but we need the cooperation for successful prosecution. So, but if they still want to remain anonymous, they can always email us, or they can call 911 and remain anonymous, or use the app.
Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you. I mentioned this last month, but I want to just bring it up again since you and the night sergeant are here. But Kona Street, particularly by the District and Republic, when the bars close at 2 a.m., there's really no officers on that street, and it's kind of famous online because there's always fights of videos that are, yeah. So, but my biggest issue with that is that in Chinatown, when the bars close, there's officers on the street, especially outside like Scarlet and Waikiki as well, where you are well aware, like on Lure Street, there's officers on the street when the bars close, especially Kelly's at 4 a.m.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering if we can get at least one patrol car just to watch Kona Street when they get out at 2 a.m. just to make sure there are no fights, or if there is a fight, they can respond immediately instead of people having to call 911 and wait 5-6 minutes for an officer to respond.
Okay. Well, we'll talk to our nighttime lieutenant and the other lieutenant that's on duty at night, and we'll see what kind of assets we can deploy
Right
there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Major Okamoto. I actually have one question and then one comment. So you mentioned 311 and 911 earlier. When someone calls 911, they get the option of emergency or non-emergency. And then when you call 311, it's typically non-emergency. Is there a preference as far as efficiency goes for HPD that we can help out on or that we can practice?
I think the 311 app is just, we just address it the next business day. If you call 911 and you tell them it's a non-emergency, I think an officer will be dispatched, but it's going to be prioritized later, much later, right? So we have different priority calls. And so it might take a while for an officer to actually get there. But then again, if the person wants to meet with the police officer and actually point out the problem, that would be really helpful for us. A lot of times, I'll be honest, if there's nobody there and we drive by and it's not apparent to us, the officer is really not going to do anything, right? So, I suggest that you remain there or meet with the officer if you can and point out the problem.
Thank you. And then the other comment I had was more of commending you folks. I know you've done a great job with community outreach in the Waikiki side with HPD working with the Waikiki Business Improvement District as well as service providers. And that model has worked, especially treating people that are homeless or houseless as well as folks that have mental illnesses. So when you mentioned a task force, we're really looking forward to see that, what you guys can come up with that and how we as a board can help out with that as well. So thank you for the work that you do. We have one more question from Member Chung.
Okay, guys, I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about how citizens can help HPD. For example, there's the Honolulu Police Community Foundation. And also, if people want to join HPD, what should they do?
Join HPD as an officer?
Yes.
Oh, great. That's a great question. HonoluluPD.org. You can, we're always looking for people that are interested in this profession. I just want to tell you guys, it's probably the best job I ever had. Lots of jobs when I was young. It's the best job I ever had. It's very rewarding. And you get to see and do things that I think normal people will never ever get to see or do. So I encourage young people or even older people, if you want to, please come on and join. Put in an application. We're always looking for people. We have a shortage of a few hundred officers. I think it's still about 400 officers, and we're actively recruiting. And the pay is actually not bad too, right? So I encourage people to go to HonoluluPD.org and look for the link to apply for the Honolulu Police Department.
And for donations, there's a community association, or what other relief associations can people that want to help?
Sure.
What can they do?
I think there are some places where you can actually donate money to organizations that directly sort of donate back to the police department, but I'm not familiar with those, and I'm sort of uncomfortable coming here and saying, yeah, please donate here. So yeah, do a quick Google search and do your due diligence. And yeah, thanks for the support. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you again, Interim Major Okamoto and all the members of HPD. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is exciting for us to have 5 HPD officers in our meeting. So thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, moving on. Honolulu Fire Department, I believe they've sent out their newsletter or report at the beginning of the month, but if they're not here, we will move on. The time is now 6:33. We have Mr. Patrick Smith from the Neighborhood Commission, Chair of the Neighborhood Commission, to give us some commission updates. Thank you for being here this evening.
Hi, good evening, board. Good evening, Chair. Thank you very much for providing me an opportunity to speak to you. I just wanted to come and talk a little bit about, very briefly, a little bit about what the Neighborhood Commission does and its relationship to the boards. The commission sets policy and oversees the boards, just so you know, and if there are problems, we try to address those. And one of the big activities we do is we review our neighborhood plan, which is how obviously the boards operate. Currently, we just released a revision of our complaints process. I don't think this board's ever been an issue, but we do have some boards and some board members that can be problematic, to say. And so it's a very lengthy process as it stands, and we've tried to curtail it a little bit and make it more efficient. It's actually much more complicated, but it's more efficient, I believe. That is actually going to corporate council now. If anybody wants to go online, it's chapter 18 of the neighborhood plan. And if you have any questions, actually, I wrote a lot of it, so reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you. At this moment, we're also looking at chapter 14 of the neighborhood plan, which is all the little provisions about how the boards operate. And that can include things like simple things like, do you have to have a treasurer? Do you have to have a secretary? Which is kind of out of date. So we're looking at that. And there are other things too. Some people are pushing a proposal to get rid of sub-districts and, maybe making the boards all uniform. There's a lot of pushback. A lot of people think each board should decide on their own. And that has a long way to go, but that's just something that we're looking at. And I would say if the boards ever have a problem or something, they can reach out. Well, they obviously can always reach out to Lloyd Yanaga, the executive secretary. He's always available for a phone call, at least during business hours. But also the commission. And if you want to have like a joint meeting, if you have an issue, downtown issue, especially like places like Waikiki, which is obviously a shared area, we can help you set up joint meetings and run through issues. So those are just some of the services that the commission can do, and we're here for you. So let us know if we can help. And that's really about it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick Smith. Now we go to questions from the board member Chang.
I was just conversing with co-chair Vandenbrink, and you were even considering compensation for the board?
No,
Oh,
that
good.
that was a excuse me, I think I'm going there. That was a charter amendment, I believe, and that was shot down. So I don't get paid as a commissioner, just so everybody knows. It's all a volunteer. And I don't think it's going to be anytime soon that the board members are paid.
Good. No, good. I don't think that we should be paid. Also, some people do. What I will say, one thing I would like to maybe have commission consider. This particular neighborhood, we're pretty active, and we stay in touch with a lot of different things. And it'd be nice to have a little budget. I'm not talking about a lot of money, but a little budget to help out some projects or some people in the community like him. So we can get some more plants and other things for like Sheridan Park or these little projects. And we're not talking about a lot of money, just a little. I mean, I know we have a budget for like mailing and that kind of stuff, but if we could maybe get a little money for projects that are meaningful to the community, and I'm not talking about a lot of, but like $1,000 would go a long way in Sheridan Park, just for and as an example. So I don't know if that's something that they would consider or if it's even possible in the charter, but I just thought I'd put it out there. Thanks.
Well, it actually is very challenging to sort of give the boards money, because then you get all kind of ethics issues with money management and that sort of thing. So basically, what I usually tell the board if they ask for money, I really haven't had them ask for that type of expenditure, is I would say, just talk to the executive secretary and sometimes he'll help you. I don't know, that would probably be what he would consider outside the purview of his mission. But I don't know that. I don't want to speak for Lloyd, our executive secretary, but you can certainly ask him. When it comes to promotion, we actually at one time, there was a budget, I think it was a $500 or $1,000, and it was supposed to be for promotional activity. And that's sort of based upon the availability of funding by the city. You know, as you know, the city's budget's kind of tight, especially with all the natural disasters we had. So, you know, you can ask and see what happens.
Thank you, Member Chang. Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink.
Thank you. So I'm also glad that the funding proposals shot down for the boards, because I know that can be very divisive. And I did want to ask, oh, there we go. I did want to ask, because this is coming up at our chairs meeting for neighborhood board people on Monday, but I did see talk in there of term limits, and I believe you talked about it yesterday at your meeting as well. I just want to hear more about what's happening with that.
There was a general discussion. We didn't really come to any conclusions. In fact, as chair, I was trying to get the commissioners to actually give me some, definitive sort of ideas, but we really didn't. I think it's a really divisive issue, but there are folks on the commission that would probably like to see maybe an 8 or 10-year term. There's also a discussion of maybe limiting the chair's term. And in fact, we had a discussion, if you serve like 10 years, could you take 2 years off and run in the next 2 years? Or if there's a spot open, like a vacancy, can you get appointed? That seems generally like we would probably adopt that, but there have been no decisions, and that's a long way off. But if that's something that you're interested, I can certainly keep you informed.
Yeah, I am interested, but I'm more interested because I'm opposed to the idea. And it's mostly because a lot of us here won without any opponents, because we want to get more people involved in the board. But right now, a lot of us are just the only ones who want to get active on the board. And then if you term limit us out, then, we might not even have quorum in years from now if we have hard term limits. I don't mind it for officers like vice chairs and chairs, so that way it rotates around the board members, but term limits just for general members, I I'm kind of opposed to that idea. But I also wanted to touch back on the money issue.
Well,
Brad-
can I just jump
Oh,
in
yeah.
and say, well, if it's any consolation, I oppose term limits also, but, you know, I just facilitate the meetings. I don't dictate. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, thank you.
No, I understand. I wish our state legislatures would follow the term limits idea instead of advisory boards like us. But that's apparently asking too much from them, who I don't quite see in the room. But the other thing I want to ask about money issues, later in the meeting, we're actually going to be having a brief discussion on possibly ending the video option for our action committees. And that's primarily because it's self-run by us. We have to, use hotspots for our phones, bring our own laptops, and try and make sure everything's set up properly so people can participate. And it's becoming a bit of a burden because they're not speaking up online if they have problems. And so sometimes it can be very frustrating. And that's one idea I think that not only us, but other boards who have committees might also want help with, which is having hotspots and video options, like even just a mic setup so that way it can capture the whole room and be a lot easier to participate in as well.
Well, I can understand that boards want help with committees, but I think that's probably not going to happen simply because of restriction on the resources of the NCO. What I would say is that is more of a resource allocation issue with the operational side of it. So you have to talk to Lloyd Yanaka, the executive secretary, and just see what he says. But you have to remember that we do have a lot of boards with committees, and that would be a lot to allocate, like say they're NAs or have equipment. So it's challenging. I mean, I agree with in principle, it would be terrific if we could support the boards, but that's probably pretty challenging.
I understand. It just can go to a bit of a disparity because like Waikiki held their committee meeting in the hotel meeting room with a whole video audio setup provided by the hotel because of the business improvement district. And then ours over here, we don't have that option. So it can kind of be like a disparity based on the area you live when they have that and we don't. And we're literally just across the Alawai from them. So yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, it's nowhere more apparent than meeting spaces because this is a nice meeting space, but I've been to some that like Windward Community College, it's really all air conditioning and it's nice. And then you go to some places and they're really cramped without AC. And it's sort of the nature of what's available and what the NCO can get. So that's the limitation. But yeah, I would say reach out. If you have specifics, you can let me know and I could talk to Lloyd about it and see what they can do. But just realize there are challenges with resource availability.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Smith, thank you for your service. Oh, one more from Member Chang.
Great to meet you. Thank you for your service. I think this is a wonderful thing that Mayor Fossey started, right? So I've been doing this for over 10 years, I think. And I'm a fan of Fossey. And one of the things I was told by a previous executive director was that there was a program where all of the board members got together across the island, not the chairs, all of them. And it was done for many, many years. And then for whatever reason, it fell by the wayside. So I've been talking with folks from the boards of the North Shore, Makiki, Chinatown, and Waikiki. And there seems to be a lot of people that understand that if we have a larger Ohana get together, a lot of really, really good things can happen. Good conversations can happen. People see that the neighborhood board, there's something going on. And that could also help us recruit participation that we've been struggling with for a really long time. Just sort of to add my 2 cents to this, not only are these people that I've been talking to from other boards feeling like this is an idea that we should resurrect, but that if we were to invite people who had previously run and not won, who were eager to participate, this would enlarge our community. It would energize a larger community that wants to serve and provide a really nice community service. So I just wanted to put that out to you. This is a big job, I know, but we could follow up later. I just wanted to plant the seed and talk about this in this forum.
Thank you. Chair, if I could just wrap it up really quickly, I want to thank everybody here for their service and any members of the public, that are present. But I really do appreciate your commitment. And I will tell you that we do go around, my vice chair and myself, we kind of split the island in two. We're visiting all the boards and we're looking for ideas. So I'll certainly take that back and then we're going to combine that and try to make things happen. So thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for being here this evening. Okay, moving on to the Honolulu Night Market. On July 18th, we have Miss Peggy Maxwell Luke from Six Pillars.
Good evening. I'm here this evening just to announce, I'm Peggy Maxwell Luke, as Kathleen mentioned, from Six Pillars Marketing. I'm here to announce the date for this year's Honolulu Night Market, which will be held on Saturday, July 18th. Oh, thank you. So it'll be held this year on Saturday, July 18th, from 5 to 10 p.m. And the purpose of this annual event is to position our Kaka'ako as a vibrant urban neighborhood rooted in Hawaiian culture. As in years past, this popular community event will feature live entertainment, food and retail shopping, and family-friendly activities. The footprint will be similar to the years past. We are currently building out a multifaceted communication plan, which will include pre-event communications with the media, the community, and local businesses. And if you have any questions, you can certainly let us know, either myself or Corey Wong at Six Pillars Marketing. I have a slide with our contact information. So mark your calendars and plan to attend. It's a really great, fun event. I've gotten a lot of comments from people as I've been working on this project about how much they like the night market and what a great event it is for the community. So thank you for allowing us the time this evening to let you know about the event. And again, feel free to reach out if you have questions. Okay.
Thank you. Questions, board? Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
I just want to say I do love the night market. I went there last year and I love the events that go on in Kaka'ako. It's because they really do help bring the community together. I just kind of just want to throw a curveball. Is there any talk about maybe having an event like that in the Ala Moana side of things? Because we do have a lot of street area that could be closed off, have food trucks, have events over here, because there's always seems to be stuff on the Kaka'ako side. I would love like one or two events over here. In
I'll bring that feedback back to the team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Okay, Ms. Maxwell Luke, thank you for being here this evening. We're looking forward to the night market. Okay, the time is now 6:50 p.m. Moving on to board business approval of the March 24th, 2026 regular meeting minutes. Does anyone have any edits, questions, comments, and concerns? Okay, if
Motion
not,
to approve.
okay, we have a motion to approve, seconded by First Vice Chair Rice. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Member Chi, did you say aye or nay? Okay, sorry, Member Chi, we didn't
Sorry.
get your voice vote.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, weird. Okay. Aye.
thank you. Meeting minutes have been approved. Thank you, board. Okay, moving on. 3 absence notice for member Eduardo Hernandez. So he had informed me earlier that he is resigning from the board. So we have to go through the official process where he has to send correspondence to the neighborhood commission office, but we do thank him for his service. I know he was very passionate about making sure that, that our neighborhood was, or is pedestrian safety or pedestrian safe. And I know he worked for HBL as well, and he had that presentation. So we thank him for his service. And this means that we have a vacancy for Subdistrict 3. So if there's anyone in the public that may be interested at this time. Okay, well, letting everyone know that that position is going to be open. So for next month, we will be able to take in any candidates or volunteers who want to be on our board. Okay. Yeah, I think it is mostly on the Salt area because Subdistrict 1 is close to Moana by the mall, and that's where myself, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink, and Member Chang live. Subdistrict 2 is where First Vice Chair Rice lives, so that's middle. So it's Subdistrict 3
If I can,
is closer to the Kaka'ako Salt area.
I just pulled up the map as well. So basically everything from Atkinson Street, those buildings along Kapiolani, down into Kaka'ako along, it ends at Ward Avenue, and it includes all of McKinley High School as well. So yeah, it's not Salt, it's everything east of Ward all the way to Atkinson and south of Kapiolani.
And then if you go to the website, which is right in our banner, you could see the map and where the boundaries are for each sub-district. So thank you for your interest, Mr. Brady. Okay, moving on to request for public input from the PP for 1588 Moana. So this is, I had forwarded the email to the board. I believe Deputy Director Yonamina is probably going to go over it in his report as well. But this is a reminder for everyone that DPP is looking for comments on the project. As a refresh, RM Toll and Isaiah Sato did come here, I believe, in October of last year to present on that project. So that area is right by Moana and Atkinson. You can go online, input your feedback. We can also do it as a board. Either way, I'll accept comments from the board members and I can put it in a document, and you could also do it individually. So just wanted to put that on your radar. Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you. I just wanted to add on that I spoke to a friend in Parks and Rec who mentioned that it's actually going to obstruct the view of the mountain from Magic Island, the building. And because of that, Parks and Rec is going to actually try and be asking for money for compensation for the affected visitors and residents who want to see the mountain from Magic Island. So you can mention that because of it blocking the mountain view, that they should pay more money to the Parks Department so they can add improvements to Magic Island.
Thank you, Secretary Vanderbrink, for that information. Hey, First Vice Chair Rice.
Thank you. Does anyone know? I've been getting mixed or misinformation, perhaps. One, I hear that this project 1588 Moana is a Kobayashi development project, but according to previous presentation, it's not. So that's one comment I keep hearing, and I keep trying to tell people that's not the case. The other thing is that with the Neiman Marcus store closing at the end of May, this project is on the Macy's side of the shopping center. Wouldn't it be nice if they moved Macy's to Neiman Marcus? And then this development might not be as impactful to view planes and a better utilization of the Macy's store, which is so old and needs so much renovation that I doubt Macy's will ever do it. So it's just, I just want to put that on the table, and that it's something that we should talk to the developer about and perhaps and find out if there's, now that Neiman's is closing, is there any consideration by the mall to move Macy's into Neiman's? And then what happens to the Macy's store? One of those big boxes is going to stay empty for a really long time. There's no big boxes that's going to come to Hawaii and take over the space. So maybe let's utilize it better. Thank you.
Thank you, First Vice Chair Rice. You could actually add that in your feedback. And then on our end, I'll reach out to RM Toll who presented and see if they can come back and give us an update. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, moving on. Our participation as a board in the legislative process, this has been spearheaded by Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink.
Yep, this will be fast because it's still during session, so I didn't want to do a presentation, then do another presentation. But I will say that there are currently 4 bills still alive. One is actually on its way to the governor, and 3 of them are in conference right now. And that's of the about 20 that we supported as a whole. So that just gives you an idea of how many actually died thus far. I'll go over them in more detail next month, and I'll actually create a little fun graph to show where they died in session, because a lot of them die in beginning of session and don't get a hearing. So I think this will be really helpful as well to show how many died early on. And the testimonies I've submitted, even though they are already public record, I'll gather them all and we'll upload them to our folder next month so everyone could read as well what was submitted.
Thank you, Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink, for that update. Okay, voter registration drive. We have Secretary Morala that'll be going over this.
Thank you, Chair, for putting on this on the agenda. And one of my goals to get more young people involved in civic engagement. I'm putting together a voting drive that will ideally be at the Kaka'ako Farmers Market. And that will make it clear to our community. With our advocacy, we're making clear to our community that despite us being in the midterms, and even with living in Hawaii, there are still close and important elections to get involved in. And I believe it's important that everyone in Hawaii is represented in their vote, in their candidates and their elected officials. Thank you.
Member Chang.
For those people who want to register, what do they need to bring with them so they can register to vote?
I am currently asking the Elections Commission on how to do the voting drive most effectively, but we should be able to print out and have all of the required information and supplementary information for the whole voting process.
I just thought it would be helpful for those people listening in. Thanks.
Thank you, Member Chang. Okay, moving on. Action Committee updates. We have our Vice Chairs Rice and Vandenbrink.
Thank you. We had a really good meeting last week. It did wrap up early. And some of the key takeaways is Pawa'a Inha Park is going to be open to dogs. So everyone's very excited about that. Our ongoing efforts of having the board reach out to the community to find new board members or to just provide information to the community as to what does the neighborhood board do. And we just keep trying to find new locations. And I'm working on that because Sam's Club, I'm banging my head against the wall with Sam's Club. I don't know why the general manager doesn't respond, which is a huge disappointment. But cookies, I have to go buy cookies. But we're going to come up with other location other than the farmers market on Saturdays at Kewalo Basin. But we need more participation from our board at these events. It's always the same people. So please volunteer and give up your mornings for a couple of hours and help us try to share the love of what the neighborhood board does. It's really love. I think the next parade is next parade to participate, but the next parade is the King Kamehameha Day Parade in June. So we'll keep on announcing that as we get closer. And then we discussed noise concerns at Queen and Waimanu Street, and Michelle Opatek from the community is going to talk on that in a little while. She's done a heck of a job reaching out to our politicos and others in the community who could help stop the noise or buffer the noise. We can't stop it, but we can buffer it, which is what needs to be done. And I think that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, First Vice Chair Rice, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Dale always has to say something, which I love.
No, just one small thing. I mentioned it earlier, but the Zoom option, ending it as well, like I mentioned to Patrick there, just because we've had instances of people who tried to log on Zoom and they couldn't hear via the computer, they didn't speak up, or like, you know, myself is a lot of time on the computer, so when I put on the Zoom option, I can't access that. So I want to bring it up to the whole board and to the public to see if there's any objection to that or any issue, because if there is strong objection to it, then we will just find a way to make it work. But if not, then going forward, we'll probably be ending the Zoom option.
Board comments? I actually would, I think you mentioned that you were looking at getting rid of it, and I am on board with that simply because I feel like the action committee meetings, as far as the, you know, the ones that we've held are more effective when there are people in the room, because it's a slate. We have, I'm unsure how many people we have total online in here, maybe like between 15, 20, 30 people. Action committee meetings are, the attendance is sparse, you know, but I do appreciate the board members that come. Like, it's been a while since we've had a committee meeting that had 10 people. It's usually the same 3 to 5 people. So I want to commend the board members that continuously come, especially the folks that do chair the committee. Miss Michelle Opatek, our community member, who religiously comes as well. So I believe the Zoom option, because it's so challenging to maintain, and I recently found out that the recordings, we need to give them notes anyway, because I thought the recordings for it would suffice as notes. They don't, so we might as well take that out, and it saves us, because initially we had it kind of like at the tail end of the pandemic to give people the option, but we're coming into the meetings now, similar to what we're doing now. We have majority of the board members here, and I'm very appreciative of that, and I think the conversations are more authentic if we are all here. Not to disregard the online option. I feel like this regular meeting works, but for the action committee meetings, I think we'll be fine without it. So if any other board members have comments on that, let us know. Member Chang?
Yeah, let's make all the meetings live. Cut out the Zoom period.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess moving forward, we'll just be in person. And again, for the people that are out here and online, we do encourage you to come because it's a bit more informal. The time period is about the same, but we get to, it's more casual as well. And so we're able to discuss things more in detail. We don't vote on anything, but we bring that back to our regular board meeting in order for us to make things more official. So thank you. Okay, attendance and presence at other meetings and events. Board?
I probably won't just bring this up right now since Alex is in the audience, but the Sheridan Park, we had to clean up there last week, and I'll let him speak more on it during the community section. And the other thing I just wanted to mention, just to make sure I'm covering this right, but if you are registered to vote, you should have got this in the mail already. So just a reminder here that if you haven't got this in the mail already, then either you haven't changed your address or they might have not mailed it out to you correctly, and you want to double check on the elections website at hawaii.gov, I believe it is, and just double check that your information is accurate. It really, all you need is your social security number, first and last name and birth date, and then it'll just show you your address on there that it was mailed out to. So if you haven't got this, please check.
Thank you. Any other board members regarding past events that they went to that they want to update folks on? Okay, we recently went to a town hall meeting that was put together by our legislators. I see one of them here, Representative Kaka'ako Iwamoto. Thank you. And the rest of our area legislators who held that. I found it to be very valuable because it offered us the opportunity to ask you questions ranging from a wide gamut of things. So if anyone else wants to comment on that who attended, we had a few people from our board, myself, members Rand and our wonderful vice chairs are almost at every event, Rice and Vanderbrink. Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. I completely forgot about that. So we did actually bring a flyer to the meeting as well to actually show the community about our event, because it's one of the rare times we actually had all the legislatures from our neighborhood go to there, and it was only our neighborhood. So it's very rare we get them all in a room and we can ask them the tough questions, like their votes on the $35,000 alleged bribery investigation that they had the previous day, and actually hold them to account for their votes. So it's a really good opportunity to pose the tough questions to them, as well as give them our thanks for things that they do, issues that they vote upon in our community.
Thank you. Any other past events or upcoming events? Okay, we do have this flyer here, and it's unfortunate that Bishop Suru left, but he was here earlier. This is for the Ala Moana Neighborhood Historical Association, which hopefully we'll be able to get the PDF version so we can update our Google Drive. But this is wonderful since he has put our board to be there to come meet the neighborhood. So hopefully you guys can come. I know his intention of starting this association is for people to understand the history, the very rich history of our area, and how we got to where we are as far as like issues go and what we can do moving forward. So this is going to be on May 22nd. We have that in our announcements as well later on. Okay, moving on. It's now 7:08 p.m. We're making good time tonight. Thank you, board. Sub-district reports. Does anyone have any sub-district reports? Wow, okay. Moving on. Residents and community concerns. We're also looking forward to this one. Well, we'll start with Miss Michelle Opetek first, since she is on our agenda, and Mr. Alex Beatty will move over to you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Opetek. Can you hear me? Okay. Anyways, I live at 1133 Waimanu, and this is all new to me. I'm going to all these meetings and learning so much every time I go. Kaka'ako Iwamoto, I've met her several times. She's willing to help with some issues. Same thing with Council Member Nishimoto. Wonderful assistant named Sophia. She's really helping me get to the bottom of some issues that I have with the noise. I live at Waimanu and Queen, and there's a super sucker, which is HECO, but it's Howard Hughes Corporate. Anyways, there's a lot of jurisdictions involved. So I'm trying to figure it out, but with the help of people that are willing to listen to me and I show up enough, it makes a big difference. I definitely recommend people to show up to our homeowners association, you know, in your building. But if your building doesn't know anything, you need to get those people to come here, because this is where you actually learn some things and you can go face to face with people that can help. I've made a number of complaints, and again, it's city and county, state, it's private property, public property. It's very confusing, but they have made a little bit of a difference. I also went and printed out these rules from HCCA. They've been updated in 2024, 162 pages. It's a lot of stuff. It's a full-time job. I haven't gotten any response back from HCDA, so I'm really hoping that someone can help me get some response, because it really has to do with the infrastructure, which is state, even though the the digging is being done in the street, which is city and county. Nishimoto's office reached out to, I guess, the contractor, which is Hart, with the steel plates on the ground over on Queen Street, which I think that's Waimanu Street, that go towards, anyways, it's making a lot of noise. So with the help and the support of people and figuring out the jurisdiction, I'm willing to stick it out and make a difference in my community.
Ms. Obutek, thank you.
It's ongoing. That's all I
First
can
Vice
say.
Chair Rice.
Okay, well, what Michelle is talking about, there's a HECO project. It's really Howard Hughes project to redo all the electrical from Queen and Waimanu Street, right where the two Kolawalo parks are located. And then down that little Queens Lane, it's now making its way down Queens Lane, which is on the Diamond Head side of South Shore Market and Kolawalo Park. And then it's going to go all the way to Ala Moana Boulevard. The assumption is that it's for the new high rises that they're building, and they're tearing down Ward Center. That's going to start in June. If people aren't aware, Ward Center is going bye-bye, and two glorious, overpriced condominiums are being built. One, you actually have to pay a $250,000 initiation fee, like a country club fee, just for the privilege of plunking down $3 million to make a purchase. And that's on the lower floors. And then there's
and maintenance fee.
and maintenance fees, HOA fees. And then there's other fees. If you want to dine in their restaurants, it's another $65,000 annually. And that doesn't cover the cost of whatever it is you're eating. So there's for the super, I don't know who can afford these things, but they seem to feel that they can, they do. So 2 new towers are going up, and then there's supposed to be a park at the corner of Kamakei and Oahe Street. So right across from Merriman's or the Anaha condominium. So that electrical project, which the reason why Michelle is so upset and people in her building are so upset, and they should be upset, is the fact that there's this truck that's called the Super Sucker, and it's coming because they need to reduce the water of the water table so they can lay the new electrical
Sewer.
infrastructure and sewers. So that's all coming to Ala Moana. It's going to be noisy for Ko'olani condominium, Hokua condominium, and the surrounding areas. I'm sure Howard Hughes doesn't care because they're in the IBM building in their little cocoon, and it's for their benefit, so they'll withstand the noise and chalk it up to progress, I guess, or money. So that's what Michelle's upset about. And all she's asking for is a buffer to buffer the noise. She does live on the ground floor of that building, and it is noisy. And I sat in Kolawala Park today. There were 2 super suckers today. Aren't we lucky? One at Waimanu and Queen, and one across from Off the Wall restaurant on Queens Lane. So it's a double whammy, and it is very noisy. But I will say they were pow and gone before 3 o'clock
Yes, they were.
today.
Yes.
Yesterday,
They are
no.
finishing at 2:30 instead of 3:30.
3:30.
But I did go to the retailers. So I went to Off the Wall today. He said, we can't even open our door. Business has gone down. I went to the interior Nalu, that cute little sandwich shop. They said, oh, we really can't hear it, but they're kind of stuck in the middle. So whatever. And there's music playing and air conditioning. But then I went to the yoga place. They're not real happy about it.
Yeah, yeah. So it would really be nice if, while Howard Hughes did send out an email to some condominiums in the area and some of the businesses, I would imagine, I don't think they did a good enough job of communicating to the community overall, because there's traffic detours and all kinds of things going on, metal plates all over the place. So I just wanted to clarify, because I wanted everyone to really understand what's at stake here. And despite the fact, I really believe that Hart is coming to Ala Moana, and that's the route. So while today they say it's not their project, it will impact that project. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen in 5 years, but it will in 10. So we all just need to be made aware of what's going on in that particular area. Thank you, Michelle, for your efforts. It's greatly appreciated.
I'm going to keep on going. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Opatek. And First Vice Chair Rice, we have Ms. Francine Murray from HCDA. Ms. Murray, did you have a comment?
Hi, yes. Michelle mentioned that HCDA didn't get back to her. I was wondering if she had a question or if she reached out to someone and I could help with that.
Hello. I have reached out to HCDA with several emails and I didn't get a response. So right now I don't have the emails in front of me. I can contact you directly if that would work. The main thing is who's responsible for making the decision that the normal 78 decimals for construction is it's up to 120. So that's not a healthy situation for anyone in the neighborhood, even walking through or driving through. The decimals of the super sucker are far beyond what they should be. And I've been told that HCDA has a permit. I've requested to see the permit and no one has ever gotten back with me.
I'll look into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray. Member Chung, did you have a comment?
Sure. I want to address your noise concerns. Of course, I'm very sympathetic. I know that noise is a far more serious thing than people realize. It has been correlated with serious health issues when you're chronically exposed, including stroke and heart attack. Okay. Now, if these people were held accountable for the costs and human suffering, I think you'd get a faster response. But in the meantime, we have a duty to mitigate. All right. It's a very important legal concept that we have to pursue as people involved with the city. We have to mitigate these things. We can't eliminate it, but we can make it better. All right. That's a responsibility. Now, having done a little bit of engineering research on this, what I've been pleased and sort of shocked they haven't done it, maybe they've done it, we can follow up, is that there are silencers that can be installed on these things. Okay. And according to my preliminary research, it's really not that expensive. Between $1,000 and $3,000, you can install silencers on the blowers. Okay. That's not that much money. Okay. When you consider the kind of contracts these guys get, they're going to spend what? $3,000. Too much. Too much for you. All right. You know, think about that. The other thing is that you can get a muffler on the pump. All right. You're nodding like you know about this. Okay. No, this is very, very important because, yeah, no, if we want a solution or mitigation, it's good to be precise. Okay, fantastic. So, you know, if we have a particular number, then we can go after it with different tools. Okay. One obviously is embarrassment because this is not big money. Okay. Now, I realize that there are many other questions they might have about installation costs, if it's appropriate for the machine, and so on and so forth. But I think the public deserves an engineering response and a cost mitigation response. Okay. The other thing I would suggest is that, as the officers were talking about here, that they really need a complainant to make things happen. Okay. You've stepped up and so on and so forth. But it would be interesting to try and find someone who's got health conditions that are impacted. Okay. And that is a sharper edge we could use to get these people to spend the money. If money needs to be spent, maybe they did all these things. We want to know. Okay. Just want to encourage you and thank you. Anything we can do to help, we'll do it.
Thank you, Member Chung. And again, Ms. Michelle Opatek, I know you've reached out to numerous entities. To Ms. Murray's question or concern, I'll send a connect email between Ms. Opatek and Ms. Murray, just so you guys can restart the conversation. But I do want to reiterate that Ms. Opatek has reached out to both legislators and HCDA. So thank you for that. Okay, moving on, we have Mr. Beatty, you wanted to bring something up.
Good evening, board members and chair. Thanks for having me again. This is about Sheridan Park, adoptsheridanpark@gmail.com. Thanks for your participation, Member Vanderbeek. That was a great weekend pickup we had. A lot of our electeds came, so thank you for coming. We had a plant giveaway. I have leftover plants. If you want plants, I have plants. Email me at adoptsheridanpark@gmail.com and I will figure out a way to give you plants. Also, this is a call to action, so this part's going to be a little long. I'm going to try to say it twice. Please support Councilmember Nishimoto's CD2 budget amendment proposal, which includes specifically money for improvements at Sheridan Community Park. To provide comments, this meeting is May 1st, so little short notice, my bad. hnldoc.hnldoc/hnldoc/testimony. That's the website. You're going to select the May 1 budget meeting, and then you're going to select Bill 23. Bill 23 is the capital improvement budget. Write your own testimony. I trust you can do that. Specify specifically that you support funding for Sheridan Park improvements, and you can identify Councilmember Nishimoto's council communication. That council communication is 76 parentheses 26, like the year. So hnldoc.ehawaii.gov/hnldoc/testimony, the May 1 budget agenda, Bill 23, and then specify support for Sheridan Park funding through Council Communication 76 as proposed by our illustrious council member Nishimoto. That's item number 2. Item number 3, thank you in advance to the Rotary Club. I've been working with them and met at the park to talk about a light planting program. So we expect to be moving forward with that sometime later this summer. And there will be some summer events coming up. Still working on exactly what that is. Thank you for your continued support and also making me come here, making myself come here. It helps me to organize. So thank you all very much. If you want to get on the email list, I try not to send out too many emails just when there's an event or a thing happening. Email me, adoptsheridanpark@gmail.com. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alex Beatty, for being at our meeting. Do we have anyone else from the community who would like to speak up? Go ahead, sir, if you can state your first and last name so we have it for our records.
Todd Adams. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Thank you. I have a question for HCDA regarding ongoing oversight of approved developments in the district. Does HCDA have a process for addressing situations where building mechanical systems may not be performing consistent with assumptions under which they were approved? In particular, there seems to be an ongoing unresolved issue at Moana Ward Village, where a building mechanical system appears to be transmitting vibration into residential spaces. And I would appreciate clarification on HCDA's role in addressing such concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. We'll let Ms. Murray, if you're still online, we'll have you address that in your report. Hopefully you were able to hear Mr. Todd Adams' questions directed towards HCDA. Okay, the time is now 7:25. Moving on to our elected official reports. We have Deputy Director Yonamine.
Good evening, Board Chair Lee and board members. Mark Yonamine, representing Mayor Blangiari. A couple items to follow up from previous meetings. First one is regarding the parking on Leona Street. Well, it could be illegal parking, but anyway, so HPD has gone out there and they are reporting that they did observe a shipping container, and it was Ocean Network Express. And so they found that it was not actively, loading or unloading. So they actually ticketed and it wasn't, they didn't have the proper permits and everything. So they did ticket that container. And so they will continue to pass by and check the area and take appropriate action. Yeah. Okay, so next one is regarding that Kapiolani and Sheridan intersection. So Department of Transportation Services, they went out there and they did notice that that no left turn sign is faded and needs to be replaced. So they submitted a work order to Department of Facility Maintenance and they will replace that sign. But in addition, I know the other question was regarding the yellow stanchions on that little island. So my department, Department of Design and Construction, we do have a paving project coming up. That's kind of the next phase of, we did from like Kamiki High School all the way down to Atkinson. So this is like the next phase of that project. So it'll go from Atkinson to Ward. So the contractor is in the process of getting all their permits and everything. And under that project, they will replace those stanchions. So instead of DTS doing it temporarily, I mean, we're just going to go ahead and incorporate it into our project. So we, unfortunately, that's not in the scope. But as far as the start date of that project, we will be sending out a press release when we're going to start. So be on the lookout for that. But probably, I think by next month's meeting, they'll be closer. So I should have a better start date for everybody. Okay. And the other one is regarding missing street signs. This is along Kalani Way and Makaloa intersection, as well, and in addition to going out towards Kapiolani. So, excuse me. So, DFM will be, in addition to looking at replacing those signs, they will also look at painting the stop bar, repainting the stop bar and the crosswalk too. So that'll be coming up as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Deputy Director Yonamine. Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink.
Thank you, Chair. So my question, there is a Civil Beat article that came out about the pedestrian crosswalk on Ala Moana Boulevard at the intersection of Atkinson Street, and particularly the Ala Moana Boulevard going from Ala Moana Center towards Waikiki and back, that intersection. The article was stressing about how the crosswalk timer is really short. So especially if you are a kupuna or someone with mobility issues crossing that intersection, you might barely make it across in time. And there's the article did talk about possibly increasing that timer there to allow people to cross it better. And I just wanted to ask DTS if that's under any consideration at all.
Okay, I'll check with them.
Thank you.
Sorry, so is that going towards Magic Island or is it going towards Waikiki?
Waikiki.
Okay.
Thank you, Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink. Any other board members with questions for Deputy Director Mark Yonamine? Okay. Deputy Director, thank you for being here this evening on behalf of the Mayor's Office.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, since we do give priority to elected officials and representatives who are attending in person, we have our Representative Kim Koko Iwamoto. Thank you for being here this evening.
And thank you for attending the group town hall that we had. I really enjoyed it because I loved hearing, I loved actually experiencing a wide variety of our residents in our districts hear each other's concerns that they might not be familiar with, like condo owners, like can hear what renters are thinking, and renters can hear the concerns that condo owners have. People who take the bus are sharing concerns that, people who only go in their cars. So it's great that there's this cross section, and I really, really appreciated the problem solving that was happening here in this meeting regarding the sound. the sound complaints. And there are other sound complaints related to construction that are happening that our office gets. For instance, those metal plates that are put temporarily over a big hole in the street, when they're not sealed correctly and they go boom, boom. Every time a car goes over it, boom, boom. And imagine if that's on Kapiolani and you live in one of the units right there. So we do get those complaints as well. So I learned a lot about what's going on in terms of the muffler situation, different problem solving things. So thank you so much for researching and sharing that with my office. The more I know, I feel like I can help better. I did want to share the survey that we mailed out at the beginning of April does help me vote. As you know, we're coming to final reading on the floor of the House on bills that affect the budget, et cetera. So this session, I asked questions specifically around funding, such as, and as you know, this particular session, there are a lot of funding challenges. When a state building gets old and needs to be replaced, how should we pay for the new building? Should we, for instance, close tax loopholes and use increased tax revenue to pay for new buildings with cash? Or on the other side of the spectrum, should we use bonds, basically borrow to pay for the new building over 20 years, even if it means that we're doubling the cost of the new building? So for instance, if it's $100 million to build a building and when we use bonds, it's going to cost taxpayers $200 million over 20 years with debt services. So these are the questions I asked, and we are getting around 400 responses so far, which is excellent. But we still, if anyone wants to participate in the survey, you can go to the website for all representatives have a website. Also, you can call my office and my staff will just fill out the form on Google Forms when you're on the phone. And that number is 586-8485. 586-8485. One of my staff will just answer all the questions on a Google form while you have them on the phone. But yeah, there's so the general questions are building a new Aloha Stadium. How should we fund that? Private dollars or public dollars? Funding for military related expansion. 5 million, should the state use taxpayer monies to give $5 million to UH student athletes for the use of their name, image, and likeness, or should it only be paid for with private money? And then there are some questions about ICE, safeguards for ICE overreach, and what solutions you think should be passed. Again, these are all bills that are coming up for a vote right now. Any questions?
Thank you, Representative Kaka'ako Yamamoto. Questions? Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say I'm glad you brought up the metal plates issue because I think maybe 7 months ago I mentioned it in the meeting, not to you particular, but just in general. And at the time, it was at the corner of Kanunu and Kahika Street, right behind Don Quixote, where they had the plates up for about 3 nights. And the surrounding buildings don't have any soundproofing. So all night there was just the dun of cars passing by every 15 minutes. And the 311 app, I think I saw maybe 10 people complain about that just over a few night period. And on Kapiolani as well, by the Inspiration Center, there was a whole bunch of plates that weren't put down properly. So it was a real noise hassle for people that just going by in the area.
Yes. And the buildings themselves reverberate and ricochet sound and amplify sound. So even though they use super suckers way back when we all lived before, when they were building the buildings that we may live in. I mean, the fact of the matter is that many of us live in the buildings that they use super suckers. So somebody was hearing the noise. But the more buildings that go up, it's no longer just a super sucker. It's now a super sucker because now the sound is just reverberating and amplifying. So they have to think of different ways to mitigate, as board member mentioned earlier.
Thank you. And also the bond issue, because I don't think that gets enough attention either. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe the state, if you include the sewer bonds as well, has about $2 billion in outstanding bonds.
Oh, bonds, sorry.
Yeah, bonds. I think it's close to $2 billion in outstanding bonds when you include the sewer fee as well, which is hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And that really that debt servicing on there where we pay tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year just in interest on the bonds, not even to
Yes.
pay for the projects. It really is a concern, especially as we talk about now deferring the tax cuts because we have to balance the budget, and yet we're paying so much in that interest on the bonds that I do really think that is something that should be looked into a lot closer and a lot more thoroughly.
Right. So right now, I believe the state of Hawaii is AA rated, which means we pay lesser interest than somebody who's like A rating or triple B rating or something like that. But the ideal would be triple A rating, that when we pay even less in interest, and the way we would get a higher rating is to have less outstanding debt. So it actually benefits us to have less in bonds.
Yeah, I appreciate that because less bonds do also mean we can reduce our tax liability and we can pay less taxes, especially for us working folks that really need the tax relief. Lastly, one thing I wanted to mention, which you touched upon, was the immigration-related bills. I spoke to a House rep who's not from our neighborhood, and he mentioned that leadership may want to kill the immigration bill currently in conference. And I want to mention it here publicly just because really with what's happening with ICE, I think it's really important that we pass some of these immigration-related bills and not go behind closed doors and kill things, not in public view.
Right. And there are 8 moving currently, 8 immigration-related bills moving. I think the one you're referring to might be the mask one. Is that?
I didn't get the specific. I just heard immigration bills. So it might be more than one.
I would be surprised. The mask one, because there was a new Ninth Circuit Court decision that was just released a couple days ago. That one specifically reaffirmed the fact that the federal administration, the federal government, they can carry out their enforcement. So if the state of California, for instance, tried to ban masking, or making themselves anonymous, and so California went to court, and then the Ninth Circuit said no. If it's ICE, federal employees, you cannot control them in terms of covering their face. But if it's a third-party vendor, like if you hire a third-party contractor to carry out ICE's immigration enforcement, then the California can tell those third-party contractors not to wear the mask, but not if it's a federal employee. So that might be the bill that did mention something about that they might want to push to the side. But there are definitely other bills that are still moving, as far as I know.
No, that's good to hear. I do think we need those bills to pass, several of them. But I just, I hate to have things done behind closed doors. And like we saw with last year, there was no special session. So if they die now, then there's probably going to be no action until the next session.
Right.
So
And we need to remind the governor and the leaders of the legislature that they made speeches affirming that they would be passing some protective bills.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. First Vice Chair Rice.
Hi, thank you for being here tonight. And you were a little late, which isn't a problem, but HPD was talking, we were having a conversation about e-bikes. And one of the officers mentioned that there is a bill in the legislature to regulate e-bikes. Do you know anything about that? Can you share?
Yes, it's coming up for a floor vote. So it went through conference committee, and there was a CD1, which means both all of the conferees, both the Senate and the House conferees agreed on a version. And so now it goes into each chamber, and each chamber basically ratifies that CD1 draft version. Yes, so that's correct. I was thinking about voting in support with a small reservation. My reservation is that at the last minute, they amended it to say that they can confiscate the bikes. And it doesn't sound like there's any kind of adjudicatory process. They just take it. And I'm like, ooh, some of those are really expensive, and it may be their only form of transportation. Okay. So anyway, that's my reservation, was that last minute kind of
Can
They-
you share like ages? What's the approved age to be able to ride an e-bike?
Yeah,
And
I
what
don't have
about
that.
parents, if the parent buys it for a child underage and that something happens to the child, will the parents be liable? There was that incident in Eva
Right.
where a child died and the parents were held liable. And that's the way it should be, in my opinion, only because, and I sell these things, and only because the parents just want to be a friend to their child instead of a parent by saying, oh, you want an e-bike? Here you go, kid, have at it. No helmet, no rules, just go and kill yourself. That's what's happening. It's not just here, it's everywhere throughout the nation. So all the states are struggling with this. So I was curious where we're at with this bill.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you.
part I don't know about the age. So.
Thank you. There are no further questions for Representative. Oh, sorry, Secretary Morella.
Thank you for coming in, Representative Iwamoto. I have, as far as I know on the immigration bills, I think only UNT Visas has actually had conferees on both the Senate and the House.
Which one was this?
The UNT visas, the one
Oh,
for asylum
That's
seekers.
the only one that got conferees assigned.
Yeah.
Sorry, thanks for.
A lot of the other bills either have Senate or House, but they haven't gotten the other assigned.
But there's still time, right? Until
One
Friday.
more day,
Oh, is it
right?
just one more day. Okay.
Is it triple jumping? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that would be sad if the only thing was this particular visa.
Definitely.
So that they can get help with domestic violence.
sadly, this time is like the most important, like the best time for it,
Right.
because of everything. I also want to bring HB 1713 to your attention. It's repealing school impact fees, which was done as a way to promote development, but obviously in Kaka'ako, it doesn't. We don't really have an issue with development. What we do have an issue with is deteriorating school facilities and overstuffed school facilities. And I'm concerned after these are gone, we're gonna lose a large revenue source that we would have gained with all of the development in our area for our schools.
Yeah, actually, so having served on the Board of Education,
Mhm.
those impact fees that developers would pay or even new home purchasers would pay, the amount of money wasn't as great as we think, and nor was it being dispersed. It was, so the funding was being collected sometimes, and then it would not even be put into action. I actually think that it was, that whole statute was designed to make the Board of Education seem like it is failing to raise revenue, when in fact, it is the legislature's job. We are the branch of government that raises revenue to pay for government operations. So that was kind of, I always took it as a red herring, as kind of a distraction, as a way to blame the Board of Ed. Look, you guys aren't raising the revenue for your schools. Don't come to us crying, us, the legislature. That was my perspective when I was on the Board of Ed. So today we still must, the legislature, I feel, the onus needs to be on us to raise the revenue to provide quality schools, including making sure there's enough room for the students.
Yeah, I did hear around that the Board of Education does have to release those funds. Ideally, we get more better facilities in our area.
Yeah. But even deciding who's going to be paying those fees, it was very political. Like in Honolulu, when everyone protested because the board meetings were in Honolulu, then they would waive it. But if it was a development happening in Kona, no one's showing up to the Honolulu meeting. So it's like, okay, we're going to make them pay. So it was super irregular, and it didn't mean that that money went to Kona. There was a lot of problems. It's partly because the Board of Education isn't designed to raise revenue, right? They were designed to set policy around education. It's when you have these agencies start mission drifting that it kind of fails. And again, the main responsibility should be the legislators' responsibility.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Iwamoto, for being here this evening and answering all our questions. Okay, the time is now 7:45. We have City Councilmember Scott Nishimoto or his office representative.
Hi, can you hear
Councilmember
me?
Guzman? Yes,
Sorry.
thank you.
My name's Sophia. I will be giving the report this evening for Councilmember Nishimoto's office. I left the link for our weekly e-blast in the chat, as well as our office's contact information and my email as well. I don't have any notable updates this evening. However, I'm happy to take any questions or concerns back to Councilmember if anyone has anything.
Thank you, Sophia. Board, do you have any questions? One from Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. And hi, Sophia. I wanted to mention something. So it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and I recently spoke to someone who's aware of the funding situation for contractors who process the sexual assault kits for the city and county of Honolulu. And I was informed that the federal grants that typically come in for those funding for the contractors has not been made available like it typically is at this time of the year. And so I'm just concerned that with the actions of the federal government in cutting a lot of grants that a lot of people may not be made aware of, if there is any money in the city budget or if there is any contingencies, given that Councilman Nishimoto is vice chair of the budget, that can be done in case the federal government cuts these grants, because it does make up a substantial portion of the funding for the contractors that process these sexual assault kits.
Thank you, Dale, for your question. I think that is a great question to bring up, and I think our senior policy analyst, Heath, would be a better person to ask that question to. I'm happy to bring your question back to council member and to Heath as well.
No, I appreciate it. And especially with the budget hearing coming up on Friday, I appreciate just getting that in council members' ear, just so you guys could go through the budget and see if there's any contingency in case that grant funding is cut. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sophia, for being here this evening on behalf of Councilmember Nishimoto's office. Okay, moving on. Do we have someone from Councilmember Tyler Dos Santos Tam's office?
Hello, board members. Malcolm from Councilmember Dos Santos Town's office. Couple updates. This is a committee week for council. So please stay tuned. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. during the Executive Management Committee hearing, the administration will be giving an update on the recovery efforts from the Kona low storms. And on Friday, there will be a special budget meeting. The council will be making a decision on the CD2 version of the executive operating and capital budget ordinances. So we encourage you to follow along and submit testimony if you have time. Here to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Malcolm Iwami. Any questions from our board? Okay, we are good to go. Thank you for being here this evening. Okay. Test. Representative Kaka'ako.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Representative Kaka'ako Olds, House District 23. I'm going to keep this quick to keep it moving. Unfortunately, the 5 bills that were transferred to the Senate that I reported on last month all died in the Senate. The good news is my HB 2167, the Vulnerable Youth Housing Stability Assistance Program, we inserted as a line item into the budget request. So hopefully we're able to finagle that and get some relief for some vulnerable youth to prevent homelessness. I do want to follow up. So I think it was Member Rice that had asked about the e-bike bill. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I pulled it up real quick and I was skimming through. You definitely got to read through it. But it does look like they do put some age restrictions. For example, 16 years and under are not able to operate class 2 and class 3 e-bikes. There's things about wattage and their speeds and all this stuff. And under 18, they have to wear a helmet.
definitely a lot of things to take a look at, but I think this is a good bill. I'm also super glad that Chair Kila took my bill from last year and helped differentiate between actual e-bicycles and electric motorcycles. That the distinction should be that they have pedals to crank to move the bicycle as a definition of being an e-bicycle. So makes a lot of sense. I'm glad he put it in. And I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Rep. Olds. Questions from the board? One from Vice Chair Rice.
Just want to thank you for that bit of information regarding the e-bikes. And thank you for your participation as well at the town hall meeting last week. It was really great. We need to do more of those kinds of things for the community. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And a big shout out to the Moana Kaka'ako neighborhood board. You guys came out in force. I love the uniformity that you guys had. You guys are setting the example for the neighborhood boards around the area. So thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Rep. Olds. And thank you for all your efforts. I know this was like your first run, and we understand that bills are, they can be challenging to pass. So thank you for all your efforts, and thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you.
Oh, one more from Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Not necessarily a question, but just to throw some shade on the Makoli Mo'ili neighborhood board. It was in their area, and none of their members showed up for it. So we show up for our reps. So
We had one show up. She's sitting in the back corner.
Thank you,
We had
Second
one.
Vice Chair Vanderbrink, and thank you again, Rep. Olds. Okay, moving on, we see Representative Adrian Tam.
Aloha, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for having me. My newsletter is in the chat. I apologize I cannot be there tonight. As you know, we are still in the middle of conference, and one of the bills that I continue to push for is House Bill 1588. It doesn't have Senate conferees yet, but I am worried about whether or not this bill is going to make it past conference. But if it doesn't, I promise you, I will be working with the Department of Transportation. What I can tell you is that the pilot program is going to end this year, but the cameras are going to remain up, and they're going to continue to collect data this year if we don't pass this bill. And hopefully next year we can pass a bill with a lot of teeth in it so that we can actually put a lot of enforcement. Because, decisions that we make, it has to be data driven, and I understand that. So if anything, we can come back next year with a solid bill. I really want to thank a lot of my colleagues for listening to the neighborhoods and our districts, especially urban Honolulu, because many of them don't experience what we experience. And it's really hard for them to kind of understand that, especially if they're living in very rural areas. And it really helps to have folks like Representative Olds and Representative Iwamoto, as well as Senator Moriwaki, advocating for these bills, which they have been. And so with that, I will take any questions you may have for me.
Okay, questions for Rep. Tam. One from Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
thank you, Chair, and hi, Rep. Tam. I wanted to talk about Kauai-Con that happened this past weekend. I know I reached out to you and Senator Moriwaki with this information, but just to share it again in this public setting. But on Friday, when the convention first opened, the lines actually went from the convention center down the promenade, all the way to Ala Moana Boulevard, across the bridge, and then down Alawai Boulevard, all the way back to Kalakaua Bridge. And there was probably many thousands of people in line for about 2 to 3 hours. In particular, the sun was very bright overhead at first, and then it got dark. So there's the heat concerns and then the nighttime concerns. But then on the Ala Moana Boulevard Bridge as well, there was frustration from some of the residents and tourists that the line was taking up a lot of the sidewalk of the bridge, and there was some yelling as well. And there was no HPD in sight, especially with that many people there. I was getting a bit concerned for the residents. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, since especially you're a tourism chair and you have some oversight of the convention center, that they could plan for it better in the future. But my main ask is going to be actually going into the Nets Kauai-Con next year. The people that run it are actually trying to do a Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as opposed to the normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday route. And they're trying to do that at Memorial Day weekend next year, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, in order to avoid these lines, because it was the main cause of those lines came about because of the construction, and they couldn't get into the building until right at 5:30. So by having a Saturday, Sunday, Monday on Memorial Day, they could actually avoid all that construction efforts and have get into the building sooner to try and avoid those lines. So from my conversations, the convention center is actually pushing back against that because they want to keep Memorial Day Monday as a extra construction day, which I don't see construction workers working that much on holidays here. So I wanted to bring that to attention and see if you can push the convention center to allow them to have it on that Monday, Memorial Day, because tens of thousands of people come out for this event. It is a staple at the convention center, and it does bring in millions and tens of millions of dollars to the hotels and surrounding food businesses, and hundreds of local artists do have booths in there that they get a lot of money from as well. So that's my ask of you.
Yeah, lines have been an issue. We've had an issue with the Made in Hawaii Festival as the lines route through Kaka'ako Street. On the bright side, I'm glad that it was very busy. The convention center could definitely use that kind of money and funds, but we'll continue to work with convention center. One of the things that we are hoping that the convention center would do was require some of their larger events to, ask for fun extra police services for line control and crowd control. So I can definitely bring that up to them.
Thank you, Rep. Tam. And one thing I just want to notice with the police control, I noticed that state sheriffs were patrolling inside the convention center. So it seems like there might be a jurisdictional issue as well, where state sheriffs have control inside the center, but then HPD has control outside of it. So there might be a jurisdictional issue that you might want to just look into as well.
Thank you for pointing that out.
And then we have one more question from First Vice Chair Rice.
Not a question, just thank you, Representative Tam, for your participation as well at the town hall meeting. It was really great. And again, as I've mentioned, I hope we can do more of these kinds of events and more. It was a really good turnout from the community, and hopefully we can have more. So thank you.
Thank you for being there. It was good to see all of you in your uniform and sitting together too.
Thank you, Rep. Tam. And for all the work that you do too. We're aware that it is conference week, and I know our state legislators are hard at work. So thank you for everything that you do for Hawaii. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you and aloha.
Okay, moving on. Do we have Senator Moriwaki or her office representative?
Yes, here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Hannah. I am one of Senator Moriwaki's session staff. I'm just going to go through quickly on the status of our bills as of earlier this afternoon. As you're aware, this is conference period, so things are changing pretty quickly. So thank you for bearing with me in advance. So we'll start off with House Bill 1972 relating to human services. This one is still alive. It's in conference, and the same goes for several of our measures that are relating to Kupuna. Included in that are also House Bill 1973 relating to in-home services, House Bill 1974 relating to hearing loss, Senate Bill 2866 relating to Kupuna housing, House Bill 1976 relating to human services, Senate Bill 3324 relating to human services, House 1804 relating to long-term care financing. And as far as Kupuna are concerned, those are the bills that we are keeping track of. Rep. Tam did mention, I believe, House Bill 1588 relating to noise detection cameras. That one, I think he did a pretty good job of summing up, so thank you for that, Rep. When it comes to economic development, Senate Bill 2360 relating to state enterprise zones is still alive in conference. And then on to homelessness, Senate Bill 2803 is also still alive and in conference. And then in terms of bills relating to the environment, we have HCR 106, which is endorsing Waikiki as a World Surfing Reserve. That one has been adopted, which is great news. And then SCR 159, urging the adoption of shared guiding principles for the restoration of Waikiki beaches. That one is still alive and in conference as well. With that, I will be happy to take any questions or comments and take those back to the senator.
Okay, questions for Senator Moriwaki, Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. So my question, just along the same lines that I asked Rep. Tam, I reached out to Senator Moriwaki about the Kauai the line issues, and just wanted to ask Senator Moriwaki if she can push the convention center to accept that Saturday, Sunday, Monday event schedule, so try to avoid the lines, and as well just look into security issues to try and make sure that if there are lines that they are have proper security, so there is no possible fights that can break out.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that concern. I will definitely bring that back to the senator and bring that to her attention.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the board? Okay, and Hannah, we appreciate Senator Moriwaki for all her work pushing all bills related to Kupuna and her co-chairing the Kupuna caucus, as well as being on, WAM as the vice chair. We know a lot of bills move through that, so we sincerely appreciate all her work. So thank you.
Thank you. I'll relay that back to her. Thanks.
Okay, the time is now 8:03. Do we have governor's representative? I see Miss Ashton Stallings online.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I've linked the governor's newsletter in the chat. Some highlights include that the Kona low storm recovery continues with the spirit of aloha being a huge driving force in the community. Various housing avenues were explored for those impacted by the storms on Oahu and the neighborhood islands. The National Guard, DOT, and Kaiser Permanente have all played major roles in helping the community. There's a full synopsis. It's great. And also on the islands, film and TV productions in Hawaii are seeing an uptick with several different projects filming across all the islands. They're filming a lot on Oahu and then also Big Island right now. So this is great news because it increases job opportunities for locals and stimulates the economy. And then also we all had the chance to see Jason Momoa walking the streets, things like that. Keep your eyes peeled. And the Hawaiian Humane Society partnered with the Women's Community Correctional Center and the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation with a 12-month foster pet pilot program. So inmates receive the opportunity to learn about empathy, responsibility, and patience through the foster program. They've also included pictures in the newsletter, so I definitely recommend if you're a cat person. And then, excuse me, at last month's meeting, there was a question raised about tax deadlines being extended for individuals impacted by the storms. So good news, individuals impacted will have until July 20th to file their state income tax returns without penalties. I'm going to link the press release. Also, anytime that you guys do have questions for the governor's office or state offices for me, I do email the responses as soon as I get them. So with the tax deadline already passing, I hope you guys were aware that if you needed to extend your deadline, that's a possibility. And then also, this was somewhat touched upon in the newsletter, but regarding housing for residents on islands displaced by the recent storms, I'm going to link an additional press release that has a synopsis of some of the avenues that they were exploring or did explore. Like, I know 80 different units were set up at Schofield, and then also the efforts they made on neighbor islands. So I'll be linking both of those in the chat so that you guys can review. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me and I will try to get you an answer.
Hello, can you hear me? Thank you, Ms. Ashton Stallings. On behalf of the governor, questions from the board? One from the Second Vice Chair Vanderbrink.
Thank you, Chair. So I guess my question is in regards to HB 1875, the Gender Affirming Care Bill. I know that isn't not only important to me. I know our board did vote to support it, and as well, there's organizations in our neighborhood like 3HRC and Spill the Tea Cafe that are also strongly supportive of it. And so I guess my question is now it's heading to the governor's desk, and I don't want to ask necessarily if he's going to veto or sign it, because I know you can't answer that. But I just want to stress that if he does sign it, that it would be a public ceremony, and particularly it would coincide when the raising of the pride flag in front of the Capitol on, I believe it would be around June 1st during Pride Month. I think that would be really important to members of the LGBTQ community, to which I am a part of.
I have made that note. Also, just thank you for raising that. And also, I appreciated your question or point earlier regarding it being Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So, thank you for the work that you're doing and the issues that you're raising.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink, and thank you, Ms. Ashton Stallings, for being here this evening on behalf of the governor. Okay, the time is now 8:06. We're moving on to agency reports. Ms. Francine Murray from HCDA, and if you could also address community member Todd Adams' questions from earlier, that would be great.
Aloha, Chair Lee, members of the board and community. I'm Francine Murray from the Hawaii Community Development Authority. There's a link to the HCDA newsletter in the chat before I forget. It's also on the HCDA website. The newsletter features key bills HCDA monitored and testified on this legislative session. All of them are still pending in conference. The next HCDA board meetings will be held on May 6th, and the agendas will be posted on the website Thursday, April 30th. I'm going to be getting back to you regarding two community concerns. That was first Michelle Opatek's question for HCDA about the construction noise levels. She wanted to see, she requested to see the permit for the work. So I'll have to get back to her on that. And the second community concern was raised by Todd Adams. That was about ongoing oversight by HCDA regarding approved developments in the district. Specifically, he asked if HCDA has a process to address situations like that at Ulana Ward Village, where the building's mechanical system appears to be transmitting vibrations into residential spaces. I have to get back to you on that also. But are there any other questions for our office?
I think we are good. Ms. Francine Murray, thank you for taking note of those community concerns, and we appreciate you being here this evening as well.
Thank you.
Okay, the time is now 8:09. Hart, Honolulu Authority for Rapid.
Good evening, everyone. Harry Cho with Hart. I don't have anything new any new updates to share, but I did send everyone our quarterly newsletter. I sent it to the board earlier today and also included it in the chat. So feel free to read through that. It has some great information on Hart's construction progress through the third segment of the project. But besides that, I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cho. Questions from the board? Okay, and thank you for being available as well. If we have any questions, we'll go ahead and email you. Appreciate you being here this evening. Okay, the time is now, you're welcome. Time is now 8:09. We are down to our announcements. We have Police Week kickoff and Memorial March on May 11th, the Ala Moana Neighborhood Historical Association event, which is on Friday, May 22nd. The Shinyo Lantern Floating Hawaii, that's a fairly large event in our neighborhood. That's on Monday, May 25th at Ala Moana Beach Park. Festa Italiana on June 6th. The King Kamehameha Celebration Floral Parade on June 13th. And the night market, as was presented on earlier. Voter registration, Second Vice Chair Vandenbrink had brought it up, but if you want to check your voter status, visit olvr.hawaii.gov. And then we also have our social media accounts. Our next Action Committee meeting is on Thursday, May 14th, and the next regular board meeting is on Tuesday, May 26th. And thank you, Olelo, for always making sure that we're recorded so you can broadcast it again. Thank you, Spencer, for being here this evening. The time is now 8:10 p.m. and we are adjourned.